And Jai Hind children. I welcome you all in today's live class of chemistry. Children, we are discussing the chapter acids, bases and salts. Is it? And in previous class, I have explained you the answers of long questions. Alright? So, and I hope that you understood those all answers. Now today I am going to discuss the answers of hot questions. Children, and the question number one, which is given in HOTS, is if you get a turmeric, that is haldi, stain on your clothes while eating food and try to wash it off with soap, the stain becomes red. Why? And find out how to remove the turmeric stains from the cloths. Alright, children, understood the question? It happens that the stain of turmeric or haldi present on the cloths at the time of eating the food, and when we wash it with soap it becomes red. So why it becomes gets red and how we can remove this turmeric stain from the cloths? So children, the turmeric stain becomes red when we try to wash it off with soap. This is because turmeric, which is an indicator, and it turns the red with base, that is caustic soda, which is present in soap. Is it? We already have discussed that caustic soda is present in soap, and this caustic soda is a base. So when turmeric get comes in the contact of the caustic soda that is present in the soap, it turns red. Alright, and it is difficult to remove the haldi stain, but some of the methods are there that can work to some extent to remove the stain. And the method is the first one, apply baking soda and water and leave it for some times. So this is one of the method. Second method is dab with hydrogen peroxide. Okay, we have to put that cloth with stain in hydrogen peroxide. And the third method is apply bleach and water. Okay, so while using these methods, we can remove the stain of turmeric from the cloths to some extent. Okay, children? Now, come to the question number 2. And the question is the meaning of weak acid the same as the dilute acid? Children understood that is the meaning of weak acid the same as that of weak acid? So you can say that the weak acid means, yes, the nature of the acid. Weak acid is the nature of the acid. For example, the acids present in foodstuffs such as acetic acid and tartaric acid, they are the weak acid. While the dilute acid refers to amount of water added to the acid. The greater the amount of water added to, the more dilute it is. Understood? So these words, the weak acid and dilute acid, is not the same. They are different. Weak acid indicates for the nature of the acid which is present in foodstuffs, whereas the dilute acid refers for the amount of water added to the acid. And the more amount of water added, that refers to dilute. Alright? Now comes to the question number 3. And the question is, the wastes of many factories, they contains acids. Why it is considered necessary to neutralize them before allowing the wastes to flow into water bodies? Get it, children? the waste of many factories, they contains acid, because the acids are used in many of the factories. So the waste materials also contains acid, and it is considered necessary to neutralize this acid before allow them to flow into water bodies. So the reason is there, it is considered necessary to neutralize the acid in factory waste before allowing them to flow into water bodies, because otherwise it will make the water acidic, and this acidic water will be harmful for aquatic life. Okay, this is the reason that before allowing that wastewater which have acid, we must have to neutralize the acid. Okay, otherwise the water bodies gets acidic, and that water is harmful for aquatic life, either for aquatic plants or for aquatic animals. Alright children, so this is all about the HOTS questions which is given in your exercise. Okay children, so here our chapter is going to over. I already have discussed the exercises like one word answers, multiple choice questions, long questions and short questions. Okay, I'm going to start the chapter soil. And in this chapter, we will discuss about the composition of soil, different properties of soil, types of soil, and so on. Alright, so as you know that the soil is one of the important material which are present in our nature. Is it? And have you ever got trouble for playing in mud and dirt? Yes. So, however, if you there no mud and dirt, we would all be a lot of trouble, because the mud and dirt is actually the soil. So, the soil is important to us for many reasons. Okay? And you also know that the plants need soil to grow and make their food. We all ultimately depends on soil for food, and most of our clothing can also be traced to soil. Like the cotton comes from the cotton plant that grows in soil. Wool comes from the sheep that eat grass that grows in soil. The wood to make furniture and build homes comes from the trees, and that grows also in soil. Alright, so we can say that soil is very important for our life. Get it? Now, first of all, I'm going to explain you that when we touch the soil, so what we feel, is it? So for this, we have to perform a very simple activity. Simply, we will collect the different samples of soil from different places. Get it? And after collecting the different samples of the soils from different places, feel them one by one, all the soils from our hands. Okay, so children, what we feel? Yes, we feel that the samples of the soil of different places are having the different constituents. That is why there is a difference in sample. Okay, and we can observe these different constituent which are present in this different soil easily with use a hand lens. Okay, children, you know the hand lens. So with the help of hand lens, we can see clearly the constituents of the soil. Okay, as the soil of different places are made up of different kind of particles that we can see through the hand lens. And along with the particles, there are some living things, the living organisms are also present, like earthworm and all. And along with this living organism, we can also observe that the parts of dead and decayed plants and animals which are present in the soil. Okay, so these all materials gets constitute to form the soil. The particles and the living organism and the dead parts of plants and animals. Got it, children? Now, come to the next topic of the chapter, that is composition of soil. Children, the composition of soil indicates that what are the different materials by which the soil is made up of, or what are the different materials which are present in soil. So those are termed as composition of soil. Okay, so we can say that the soil is made up of mainly two components. How many components? Yes, two components. And the first component is that tiny bites of mineral particles, very small bits of mineral particles which come from larger rocks. And these minerals includes salts of iron, calcium, potassium, magnesium and phosphorus, etc. Alright? And many of these minerals are needed by plants for their growth. Okay, children? So, what are the first component of soil? The mineral particles. And the second main component is the humus, which is dark brown in color and consists of decaying remains of plants and animals. Alright, and a variety of dead and decaying organisms contribute to the formation of humus. A lot of it is formed by decaying leaves of plants, small plants such as mosses, lichens and ferns that grow in small pieces of rocks. And when they die, they mix the soil and form humus. Alright, children. So, soil also contains humus, water, air and living organism. So, these all are the second component of soil. Humus, water, yes, humus, water, air and living organism. Alright, children. So, these are the two important components of the soil. Get it? Now, the water and air which are needed for soil organisms to survive and for dead and decaying matter to be converted to humus. And this humus makes the soil fertile by providing organic nutrients. Understood, children? The water and the air which are present in the soil, they are required for by the living organism, as the living organism can survive only in the presence of water and air. And this water and air also need for the dead and decaying matter to be converted to humus. Alright? And finally, the humus makes our soil fertile because it provides certain organic nutrients to the plants. And it also provides food. The humus also provides food to earthworms and other animals living in the soil. Children, you must have seen the earthworms which are living in soil. Okay, so what they used to eat? They used to eat the humus, or the dead and decaying materials like leaves and the small animals. So they used to eat that. Get it? And besides these all, it improves the texture of the soil and prevents mineral being washed away by water. So these all are the importance of humus in soil. Get it? They provide food to the living organism like earthworm, and it also improves the texture of the soil. And because of that, minerals cannot be washed away by water. Get it? Besides the earthworm, the living organisms live in soil includes millipedes. Millipede is also a kind of small animal like earthworm that living in soil. Centipedes, ants, fungi, and bacteria. These all are the living organisms which are living in soil. Okay, and actually the more living organism live in the soil than above it. Got it, children? Yes. So you can say that more living organism live in the soil than above it, means below that. And many of them play an active part in maintaining the fertility of soil. Okay. So if soil will be more fertile, it means it have more organism, more living organism like the earthworm, bacteria, fungi, and they all together makes the soil fertile. Okay? Earthworms are called farmer's friend. You must have studied about it. The farmer's friend are earthworms because they improve the texture of soil by burrowing into the soil. As you know that they are living inside the soil while making the small holes, and because of making these small holes or burrowing in the soil, they improves the texture of soil and they make it loose. Okay, and thus allowing air to enter into the soil and water to drain from it. Okay, and the earthworms also form channels in the soil for root to spread through. So these all are the roles played by the earthworms in the soil, and this is the reason they are called farmer's friend. Okay, they improve the texture by of the soil by burrowing the soil. They also make the soil loose. Okay, and because of making the soil loose, the air can enter easily in the soil and the water can drain. Alright, and as they are going to make the channels while moving inside the soil, they provide space for spread of roots of plants. Get it? So these all are the importance of earthworms in the soil. Got it, children? Now, one more thing that you must have to know, as the scientists have estimated that every gram of soil contains about a billion of bacteria. That is 100 crores. Get it in? So you can imagine that how the bacteria are small and how much bacteria are present in soil. That 1 gram of soil contains 1 billions of bacteria. Get it? The bacteria and the fungi in the soil, they feed on dead remains of plants and animals. Got it? And help to form humus. And some bacteria convert nitrogen of the air into nitrogen compounds which can be used by plants, and this is known as fixing of nitrogen. Understood, children? Fixing of nitrogen. Yes, the bacteria who converts the nitrogen of air into the nitrogen compounds is known as fixing of nitrogen. And some organisms like millipedes and centipedes, they are living in the soil. They are harmed as they destroy roots of the plants. So they are not good for the plants. But the earthworm is good for the plants. As the millipedes and the centipedes, they are also living in the soil, but they are harmful for the plants as they destroy the roots of the plant and stop the growth of plants. Alright children, so this is all about the soil, that what are the composition and how earthworm is helpful for the soil, or why it is termed as the farmer's friend. So children, I hope that you understood the topic composition of soil. Alright, now the next topic that I'm going to start is the formation of soil. The soil, which was not present on earth at the time of its formation. Okay children, when the earth formed, so that time soil was not present on earth. Long ago, the ground was mostly solid rock. It was not having the soil. It's only have solid rock. And over millions of years, this rock get partially changed into soil by process known as weathering. Understood children? The name of the process is weathering. So by this process, the solid rock which was present on the earth, they got partially changed into the soil, and it took millions of years. Okay, so you can say that the weathering, it is the breaking down of huge pieces of rocks into smaller pieces by the action of natural forces like water, glaciers, wind, and roots of the plants, etc. Got it? So, in weathering process, the breakdown of large pieces of rocks occurs. And this breaks down of large pieces of rocks occurs due to the action of the natural forces like the forces of water, the forces of glaciers, wind, and roots of the plant. Alright. Now, some of the agents of weathering act as mentioned below. So here some of the agents which are present in the process of weathering, and they play an important role in the breakdown of rock species. Like the first one, the role of water in weathering of rocks is particularly important as the rainwater enters, yes, crevices of the rocks, and in winters as this water freezes, it expands, and this expansion breaks the rocks into smaller pieces. Understood children? So the first agent is water, and this water play important role in weathering process. Okay, as the rainwater gets enters in, yes, crevices of the rocks, the very fine linings which are present in the rocks, and they have very little gap, so these waters gets enters in these gaps, and in winters these waters get freezes, and after freezing it expands, and this expansion of freezed water breaks the rocks into smaller pieces. So this is one of the agent of weathering. Now the second agent is the broken pieces of the flowing water or wind as they collide against the ground and against each other, they down further, and finally they get converted into very fine particles and mix with humus to form soil. Got it children? So the second agent is, yes, wind. Alright, So the small pieces of the rocks that flow with water or wind, and as they collide against the ground and against each other, so they again breaks down in fine pieces and mix with humus and forms the soil. Now the third agent is roots of trees that growing through rocks. They exert great pressure on the rocks, and this causes the cracks in the rocks, and these cracks leading to weathering. Got it, children? So the third agent is roots of trees. Okay, now the next agent is the large variations in day and night temperature. For example, in northern Indian, they also causes weathering, and the rocks expands during the day and contract at night. Got it, children? As the temperature is different in day and night time. So because of, yes, the daytime when the temperature is more, the rocks expand, and in the night time when temperature gets reduces, so that gets contract, the rocks get contract, and this constant expansion and contraction, yes, weakens the rocks and they crack and crumble and finally forms the soil. Get it? So what is the next agent? Yes, next agent is temperature. Alright. Now, the next one is in hot and humid climates, the high temperature which causes weathering to occur, the minerals in the rocks, they react with oxygen of the air. As you know very well, certain minerals reacts with oxygen. Okay. And due to this chemical reaction between the oxygen and the minerals, the oxidized rocks crumble to form soil. Okay, so after the oxidation of the minerals which are present in the rocks, they get oxidized, and because of oxidizing the minerals rocks, they crumble and form the soil. And the weathering of the rocks is also a slow process. It takes hundreds of years to produce a few centimeters of soil. Alright, children, so you can understood that how slow process it is to form a layer of just 1 centimeter of soil. It takes hundreds of years. Got it? So these all are the, yes, the different agents which are responsible for weathering of rocks. Or you can say that they are, yes, helpful in the formation of rocks particle. The first one is, yes, it is weather. Second one is wind. Third one is the roots of the trees. Fourth one is temperature. And the fifth one is, yes, the reaction, chemical reactions between minerals and oxygen. Alright, so these all are the different agents which are responsible for weathering of rocks, and due to this, yes, the soil formed. Alright, children, so I hope that you understood the process of formation of soil. Okay, now thank you and have a nice day, children.